Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rivkah Sass, Library Director and CEO of Sacramento Public Library. And it's my pleasure to welcome you for this Authors Uncovered event presented by Sacramento Public Library. I will tell you that I was actually doing the happy dance because we're so thrilled to host Good Morning America correspondent, anchor, and author Adrienne Bankert today for this event, talking about her latest book, Your Hidden Superpower. And the reason I'm so excited is, of course, if you're new to Sacramento, you don't know that she's a Sacramento girl. And so we're always excited when people from Sacramento make us look so good out there in the bigger world. So I have to give you my library spiel. I hope that's okay. Well, it better be okay because I have the microphone, right? Our commitment is to create stronger communities and opportunities for our community. So we're doing it, and we're doing it the best we can in these very unusual times as we all figure out how to live in a COVID-19 world. We like to bring you one-of-a-kind events like this one with Adrienne Bankert. We have a lot of digital offerings. If you've got kids or if you're an adult, doesn't matter. We have something for you. We have virtual story times. We have teen book discussion groups, tween book discussion groups, adult book discussion groups, happy hours, all kinds of things that are going on to keep you engaged with Sacramento Public Library. We also hope that you have a library card and that you're making incredible use of both our digital collections of ebooks and e-audiobooks, as well as making use of curbside service at 22 of our 28 locations right now. That's why our virtual doors are always open. So curbside service, check our website and you will see all of the locations that offer it, as well as our bookmobile being back on the road. And you can see all of the things that we have to offer. As you know, we order and receive new items every week. Soon we'll be able to transfer items from branch to branch. And tomorrow we have 2 locations opening for computer appointments and limited services. We're getting back on track with Sacramento Public Library. So we hope you're as excited as we are to actually be face-to-face with some of you again. Those 2 locations are the Colonial Heights Library on Stockton Boulevard and the Carmichael Library out on Marconi Avenue in Carmichael. So more information about that, again, on our website. Also, feel free to call 916-264-2920. That's our information number, and it's staffed from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. most days of the week and more limited hours on weekends. So those are the kinds of things that we really want you to know about. So let's talk about tonight's event. Again, this is about connecting, and it's pretty exciting that we have an author who wrote a book about kindness and its power right now in the troubled times that we are facing, both with COVID-19 and the unrest that we have due to more police shootings. So I don't want to get political, but I want us to think about how we can build a better community. And of course, that starts with kindness. So here's how this works. If you have not attended one of our virtual events before, you can ask a question. If you look at the bottom of your screen in Crowdcast, you can see that there's the opportunity to ask a question. We'll be monitoring that throughout the talk that Keristen Holmes will be doing with Adrienne. And you can also chat. You can post comments in the chat section of Crowdcast. Your comments are public, so we ask that you keep the conversation civil, respectful, and of course, it goes without saying, kind. Anyone who violates the code of conduct will be sadly removed. Our program tonight is also being streamed live on Facebook. You'll find us at SAC Library on Facebook and at SAC Lib on Twitter and Instagram. We will also be recording tonight's event, and that will be available on our website, saclibrary.org, later this week. If you haven't yet read Ms. Bankert's book, you can pick up a signed copy from our official local bookseller, Face in a Book. We have ebooks and audiobooks available in our library catalog for library card holders. And she'll be in town this weekend for her first book signing event. I also have to thank our amazing partners at HarperCollins, because they're the ones who brought this opportunity to Sacramento, just as they did in early May when we were able to bring former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. So let's give a shout out to the great people at HarperCollins for bringing this opportunity to Sacramento. So again, questions, use the Ask a Question. Closed captioning, click here for closed captioning tablet, and you'll be able to read what's going on. I also want to give a shout out to all of you. We had about 190 people sign up for this event. Looking down, I see that we have 218 people in the room. So yay, Sacramento, and yay to our visitors from other locations. I know there's a gentleman from Nigeria on. I don't know what time it is in Nigeria, but welcome to Sacramento. And I'm sure we have people from other locations. Give a shout out in the chat if you're not from our region. Let us know where you're visiting from, please. So we are absolutely thrilled to get started. I'm going to open this up to Keristen Holmes, who is an anchor on ABC 10 News. I don't know if you are familiar with her. If you're not, you need to be. She's a very familiar voice with ABC 10, and you can catch her in the mornings. Okay, are you ready for this? 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m., and 11 a.m. So those of us who are night owls have to wait until almost noon, because there's 4:30 a.m. She must be a very strong individual. Keristen is a Southern girl, in case you didn't know that. She grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, graduated from the University of Central Arkansas, and has worked for major corporations like the Bank of America, Blue Cross Blue Shield. But she's definitely following her first love now by sharing stories on television. Keristen, please join me.
Hi.
So happy to
see you. Good introduction. Okay. I love you so much. I'm like, yeah, I'm here for it. Anything she wants me to do, Miss Sass, I got it. So I'm really excited to be here. Hey, everybody watching, 218 people. Shout out Sacktown and everybody else that's joining us. I want to get some hello Bay Area, Columbus, Ohio. I appreciate y'all. I am a library kid, grew up in the library. That's where we spent our summers in Arkansas. If we weren't at the pool, we were at the library. So anytime I have a chance to help out the library, I'm doing it. But I get an extra special treat today because I am interviewing Adrienne Bankert. Now, let me tell you about Miss Bankert. And I get crunk about it. I'm excited about it because it's like hashtag goals for me. I work on ABC 10 here. Adrienne was at the other station, KCRA. She grew up in Sacramento. She's been on KABC. She's been, wait a minute, all these places. I'm like, hold on, like, can I just follow this career path? So this is a very special interview for me. She's won Emmy. She's been on GMA. She's currently serving for ABC News and GMA. And my girl wrote a book, y'all. Like, I know y'all trying to get the book. Guess who already got the book? I already got the book. And let me tell you, I was talking to Adrienne before this, and I was telling her, girl, why is you preaching? This book has totally blessed my life. So I know it'll be a blessing to yours. I'm so excited. Like, is the introduction over? Can we bring Adrienne on? I'm like, come on, Adrienne, come on.
Shut up, Rivkah.
I just wanted to pop up.
I'm trying to jump in. I hope you can hear me. Double Dutch. Am I in? There I am.
You in. Hey, boo.
Hey, thank you for that sweet introduction. Thank you to Rivkah. Yes, thank you to Sacramento Public Library and everybody who decided to make time to join.
Yes, no, I'm so excited, and so is everyone else. Hey, Mark, I'm looking at the people in the comments. So I like to be interactive. You can see the comments too, right, Adrienne?
I so can. I'm going to try to pay attention to you, though. I'm going to try to pay attention just to you. Yes.
Pay attention to me. Wait a minute. I need y'all to know. So as I write these books and any like for church and sermons, I'm a note taker. Adrienne.
Are those the notes from my book?
I got notes, boo. I got notes. So we
I'm
only
honored.
have 45 minutes.
Okay.
And so we're going to get started. We're going to get started. First of all, talk to me, introduce yourself like you're from Sacramento. Yes. I love your testimony, but share a little bit about it with everyone else.
Yeah, well, I was raised in Placer County. Shout out to a little town called Sheridan, California, outside of Lincoln. I think the sign still says population 1,000. Though I was born in the big city of Los Angeles, Cedars-Sinai Hospital, rather. I wasn't born in a hotel. I was born in a hospital, Cedars-Sinai. And yeah, I'm just excited. And I worked, of course, everybody knows, I worked at KCRA, where the news comes first. And that was my first job. I grew up watching that station. And then it was the dream of mine to become a national network correspondent for a long, long time. So that dream was realized just about 4.5 years ago.
Yes, yes. Okay, so let's start off. I have notes, and wait, y'all. Okay, so y'all know me. If you know me, y'all know me. Let me tell y'all why I could not find a pen, and I had to use lip liner. Can you see that?
You used a lip liner in the book. Girl, you're gonna have to get another copy.
I dog earbooks. Like girl, you should see my Bible. It is falling apart.
You just don't want to. You want to lose your place. You don't want to lose that thought. I understand.
I don't want to lose my place, and it's kind of like journaling for me. I'll go back and be like, that was important to me in that moment in life. And then when you reread the book, you'll find something else that'll speak to you in that moment. So I can't wait to go back and look at, oh, that preached to me then, but this is preaching to me now. So let me get to my little notes. Okay, so first of all, let's start here. Your hidden superpower is kindness.
Yeah.
Are you a prophet? Because you probably didn't know that 2020 was gonna shape out the way it has so far. How did you know, or where did this come from in your mind? Because this book is necessary now.
It wasn't my idea. It was my mentor's idea. Bill Krause, he's located there in Sacramento. He's been my executive coach and mentor for 15 years. And he told me that I should write a book on kindness. And I thought, that's crazy. There are lots of books on kindness. People can find them everywhere. But he said, no, it's your unique perspective that the world needs to hear. And so I call this book Kindness 2.0. It's the title of the first chapter, The Ask, Kindness 2.0, because I think that what we've done is we've really made kindness very basic and elementary, when in truth, it's extremely powerful and revolutionary. And it's something that we can use in times of personal crisis and in times of global crisis to keep us sane, to keep our head in the game.
You ain't, like my mama said, you ain't lying. You are not lying. You are telling the truth in this moment. Yeah. You know, I'm kind of country. Y'all know this. So
we love country. I got lots of family from the country. I told you I was from a town of 1,000 people.
So you here for it. I love it.
Yeah, okay, I'm a country mouse too.
this is and so much of me is my mom, and I think my mom is kind, but she'll give you the shirt off your back. You talk about that in the book. She'll give you the shirt off her back, but she got a lot of sass that comes along with it. So my mom's struggle, and my struggle that I've inherited from my mom, is how can you be kind without being a doormat? Like you talk about that. What if I'm kind and they just take advantage of me? How do we balance the two?
Well, what I realized is this, and this is the one big thing I want people to take away from the book. Kindness is not just an action. You know, for years we've popularized the term random acts of kindness, which I'm a believer in. I think that they're necessary. However, I want you to multiply the power of that random act and make it an intentional act. And I thought about it, like, how do we be kind enough in moments of stress, in moments of pressure? Oh my goodness. If you look up the word kind, it means nature, natural propensity, and determination. It doesn't just mean consideration, thoughtfulness, and friendliness. So those are really great words. It's actually like our genus and species. That's why we are humankind. And so if it's in your identity, if it's your accepted awareness of yourself, if it's your DNA, then your knee-jerk response is to be who you are, to act who you are, to act in line with the narrative that you have for yourself. And so you're going to be kind whether they treat you like a doormat or not. Now, I'm not telling people they need to be a doormat at all. I'm saying if people criticize you for being kind, if people think you're just trying to impress people or people please, when you are genuinely kind, you will not be anyone's doormat. You'll know when it's right to speak up. You'll know when it's right to stay quiet. You'll know what to do, because you're going to be actually moving in this identity of kindness, what I talk about. And also you're going to develop a sixth sense of kindness where you'll know what to do when.
I love it. So again, so much of your book spoke to me, especially obviously in TV. And you ask yourself this question, what if no one was kind to me?
Yeah.
And I immediately thought about my own personal memory of getting into the TV business. Someone was kind enough to me that a photographer from the local station that I lived in Little Rock, Ray Hamilton, he spent his long Saturday afternoon, and it was the summertime. It was hot. I don't even think it was the summertime. I just know it was hot. And he spent hours with me, taking me around to different locations to make my very first tape. He didn't charge me. Y'all know, like, to make a tape, it takes a lot of time, effort, and energy. And he was so kind. And I would not be where I am without his kindness. Talk to me a little bit about a time that someone was kind to you where it changed the trajectory of your life.
Well, it would have been with ABC. And one of the stories that my mentor really loves and that I really lived through is how I got to the network. So I had wanted to be on network television basically at the start of my career. You know, when you're first getting into TV, you think, well, I belong over there. I belong way at the top. But you have to go through a process of learning and a journey. And so I tried to kick down the door of getting into the network. I tried every way I possibly could. I talked to people. I even interviewed with networks, and it didn't work. But it was when I decided to leave Dallas-Fort Worth as a news anchor there, a woman who'd known me my entire career called up the general manager at KABC and said, you need to work with Adrienne Bankert. I've never heard her say a bad word about anyone. Now, I always tell people, I'm not perfect. I've said things that I regret. I've made mistakes. However, there's one thing that I've always done, and it's not to be a gossip. I've tried intentionally not to be a gossip, not to talk bad about people, not to join in on negativity. It's not because I don't have any bone in my body that wanted to. It's because I learned it doesn't pay off. There were too many times when I'd see people get caught up and become jaded because of what they heard that was negative. And so even when I thought, oh, they're talking about somebody, I know they are difficult, I would restrain myself. That reputation preceded me. And the woman who hired me at KABC said she hired me because of my reputation for kindness. 4 months later, she introduced me to ABC Network. All because somebody knew of my reputation. And that's something that I think we've really diminished in society. You know, people will tell you, oh, look on their social media account, look for their, online footprint. And really what they're searching for is a reputation, is proof of a track record. But back in the day, before social media, you really did go by someone else's word about that person. And when you're kind, it builds a golden reputation without you having to try so hard. You'll just be the best version of yourself, and people will find out about it.
Can I snap? Like, I'm snapping. Okay, so there was another part of your book, and I'm still early on, and I hope we got enough time. We'll get through it quickly because there's so much to unpack here. I loved the story about Eddie, the guy with the tattoos on the arms. I'm a fan of tattoos. I don't have a single one. I just like to see them on other people. But tell me about Eddie. And I think when you tell the story, it's important that his story is pointed out. Tell me about Eddie.
You're talking about floor director Eddie, who has forgiven on one arm and like blessed, I think, on the other arm. I can't remember right now. It's been so long since I've seen his tattoos because, as you know, we've been working from home a lot. But yeah, Eddie would point to the camera and you'd see the words on his arms. And he was always in such a good mood, and he was always lifted, and he still is. Like, he's very well known for being very optimistic. And when you have a crew that brings that energy in a place, it can change the whole tone and atmosphere of what project you're working on at that moment or the show. And everybody knows this. I mean, you've worked with difficult people, you've worked with kind people. Kind people do bring a refreshing. And so one day I noticed that he was a little bit tired. And he started singing. I said, hey, how you doing? Hoping to like boost him because I've been boosted so many times by Eddie. Yeah. And he started singing, amazing Adrienne, how sweet the sound. And I said, oh my gosh, like that was so sweet. And this is a man who looks sleepy, but he's still pushing through to be optimistic. He's still pushing through to be kind because that's who he is. And when he's saying that, it made me feel like $1 million, which helped me do a better job that day.
Now let's talk about how you can sing on the low. Let's talk about how you can sing on the low. Like everybody in TV can sing, but me. Like what is this?
No, it's not really the low because I had people were calling me the singing correspondent for a while at the network because I would do pop news and I would sing when there was a story about Mariah Carey or Bruce Springsteen or Will Smith. And I try not to do it too often because I don't want it to become gimmicky, but it's fun. I do sing every once in a while. So yeah. It's not a secret. It's just not all the time advertised.
I mean, maybe a concert at the end. Okay, no.
That'd be fun. A hometown concert.
I'll just lip sing in the back. I'll be here like
okay.
backup.
You're gonna be my backup singer? Okay, cool.
They don't need to hear this voice. All right. Here's another point that I wanted to write this down and send it home to my mama. And I'm very a lot of times.
That's my doorbell. I forgive me. The food delivery should have come a little later.
No, it's good. Remember, I like food.
Hopefully they don't ring again, because sometimes they'll ring until I answer. So if you hear it 3 times, it means it's urgent. There's some salmon there that's calling my name.
Oh, no, child. I thought when I said mama, she was calling. I was like, dang, she always popping up on me. I'm gonna read, if you don't mind, I'm gonna read a portion. Girl, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read a portion of your book, because I know for a fact, I've said this to myself and so many other people, all of my friends have, so I feel like a lot of people have here. I should already be making 6 or 7 figures. I should have been named partner at 30. If I'm not married by 35, then fill in the blank with half-hearted plan B. And it's too late. I'm too old to start over. When you wrote that comes from Power to Be You. Talk to me a little bit about, because to me, it's like we live on these timetables, or, when I try to set goals, but it all ends up like we're living on these timetables. Mm-hmm. How does that correlate to being kind? Like, why is that an important aspect of kindness, or thinking about that?
And there's my dinner one more time. Hopefully that's the last time they call. Forgive me, I apologize. I said after 8, I should have said after 9 p.m. I forgot the times. But forgive me. Everybody keeping it real. No, there have been times in my life, and I know in everybody's life, where if you go along your own path that you want for yourself, you're going after your dream, you're going after your desire, you start to create rules for yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to be married by 35 years old. If that doesn't happen, then here's what I'm going to do instead. Or I'm going to make 6 figures by this age. If that doesn't happen, then somehow I'm a failure and I've lost myself. The fact is that what I learned at a young age is the longer you go with life not going the way you planned, and the more disappointment happens to you, you really start to quit inside and you lose your identity. And I thought, what is the way to anchor our soul so that when disappointments and life is unkind and beats us up, because that's what happens, life is unkind, what can I do to prevent myself from quitting on my dream because it didn't fit into the timetable I thought was correct? And that is to say, I am kind, not I am married, or I am partner, or I am 6-figure salary, or I do this. Too many of the things that we identify with are based on a job or based on what we do well. And that is never going to fulfill us. The only thing that will fulfill us is knowing who we are. And at the end of the day, if we don't know who we are, Diane von Furstenberg is one of my favorite quotes, is in the book. And in her 20s, before she was known for her iconic dresses, she said, I didn't know the kind of woman, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew the kind of woman I wanted to be. Yeah. And I said, you know what, I'm going to determine that no matter what happens to me, no matter what disappointments, no matter how long it takes me to get to a dream, I am kind. And that anchored my soul so I didn't lose myself, even if I lost out on opportunities or timetables or whatever.
Can you call my mama and give her that as an excuse of why I'm not married right now, to quit quantifying me by that and quantify me by my kindness?
Well, and it can be pressure from outside sources, but I think the biggest pressure is on the inside of us. We really do have very high expectations for ourselves sometimes. And the truth is that who you are is not what you do. Being married is a gift. If that's your desire, there's nothing wrong with that. However, it does not define you. Who you are, kind, is the highest and best version of yourself. That's what I want people to get out of this book. Once you get that, then everything you do centers around kindness, and you actually map out your own treasure map for your kind of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Thank you. I should have I'm going to send this to my mama and snip that part out and let that preach to her. Okay, so there was another part that was with the, as a Black journalist covering a lot of situations like George Floyd, you see it a lot. And a lot of people, a lot of my friends, we were talking about how to not become jaded, how not to give up hope. You have a quote in here: I never take being jaded lightly. It's a sign of lost hope in humanity. How do you keep hope in humanity? You work in the news, we work in the news, you see a lot of unkind things. How do you maintain that hope in humanity?
To me, when I determine to be who I am, in spite of the world falling apart around me. See, the way that we combat global crisis is very similar to how we combat personal crisis. When my life was falling apart, and I talk about grieving, because that's what a lot of people are doing right now is collective grieving. Journalists have their own kind of grief because they get very close to the story, but every human on the planet has been touched by the events of the past 4 months. And so we're grieving loss at different levels for different reasons. But the one thing that is sure for me is when I took the focus off of myself and I decided to help those who my heart was breaking for. You see, if I'm just all consumed with how I feel and my grief, then I cannot solve anyone else's problem. I am stuck. I've become numb. I can be in shock. And really, you arrest yourself and restrict yourself. It is through those times, those personal times of crisis and the pandemic, and all of these things that have been happening, that I've had to say, okay, wait a minute, there are people hurting. And one thing that I've coached executives in and businesses in is brainstorm around who your heart is breaking for. Who does your compassion go towards? Then you'll have an authentic expression of generosity and not obligation in that generosity. And that is how not only I get innovative, because I'm thinking about other people and how I can help them, but I'm also keeping myself sane. Because clear-headed people are problem solvers. If you're not clear-headed, it's a lot harder to solve and be the answer to the asks that people have right now.
I feel like we're in like a dimly lit room.
I'm just going to be part of this. The snap and the doorbell. We have a whole soundtrack.
They didn't even know they was getting themselves into the snap and the doorbell. All right. Another quote. Your worth will rise when you know they are watching.
Yes. One of my favorite things. I say date like you're famous and be kind like you have your own reality show.
Say it again, Adrienne.
Date like you're famous and be kind like you have your own reality show and you have a camera following your every move. Because the truth is, in the world today, everyone has a camera. Back in the day, before our generation, there was a show on TV called Candid Camera, where it's be a smile, you're on candid camera. And then they would like sneak around and have these cameras hidden places. And then the video would play out and people would laugh and all that. Well, now you have phones in everybody's pocket. And at any point, anything you do can be video recorded, broadcast, and go viral. We've heard that term used for a while now. So for me, when I was a young girl, my mom would always say, someone's always watching, Adrienne, even if you can't see them. She was inadvertently or unknowingly preparing me for the world of social media, where somebody could be watching, I'm just not paying attention, where there could be a hot mic on me and I decide to speak in a way that I would not want broadcast to my crew or to the producers in the booth or to somebody walking down the street who's maybe harassing our crew, which happens. Yeah. But the fact is, if I act famous right now, if I act like there's a camera on me right now, I'm going to make different decisions. If everybody is staring at me, I use the example of a child who is being watched by someone and they know they're being watched. Now they are going to do one of two things. They're going to start acting out more because they like the attention or that was you. Okay. Or they're going to straighten up because they know somebody's watching and they don't want to get in trouble. And what we have to realize as adults is we are just like those children. We will become more, we will realize our value and stand up straighter and act a different way when we realize how valuable we are, that people are actually watching us and care what we do and think. Our words have weight. Our actions have weight. It's time for us to realize that all of us are quote unquote influencers in some way.
I love it. I love it. I like when I'm talking to kids, I keep that in mind because they're growing up in a generation now where they're living their lives on social media. And sometimes, you know, they think with Snapchat and Instagram stories, I'm like, no, that even before everyone knew that you could save anything on Snapchat, I was like, it's the internet. Don't trust it. Like, you will get caught. And now we see in the evolution of things, a lot of people are doing that. I'm so glad that you were raised with that mindset and that you can teach that in your book to other people. She also talks about social media later in the book. We'll get to that because I think it is very necessary for today's time.
It is.
Something else I love about you, because what you see is what you get. You say this, what you see is what you get. I never have to censor myself because I made the decision that I will be the person I really am on or off camera. There are so many people that I have encountered who are these people on TV and somebody completely else off camera. First of all, thank you for not being that person. And as a person who works on TV, I know that can be, that's a lot. Talk to me a little bit about why that's important and how you manage to do that, because it's hard not to wear the mask or to, be yourself all the time.
Well, I don't know that it's hard if you know how to do it. For me,
there you go.
When I realized that kindness was my authentic self, when people would say, "Oh, I love you, you're so real." Well, what does it mean to be real? Right? What does that mean to you? If I asked you that, you might have a different definition. But what I find is that who you are as a kind person, you're the person your parents always wanted you to grow up to be. You're the person that your grandparents always wanted you to marry. They don't sit there and say, "Gosh, I wish they'll grow up and be unkind." Like, that would just be my dream for them. Everybody is asking for kind doctors, nurses, employers, organizations, strangers. You want strangers to be kind to you. You want people in traffic to be kind to you. So if I'm just going to be myself, I don't have to worry about wearing a mask. I know that my knee-jerk response will be one of kindness and consideration and etiquette. And the fact is, even if you have a difference of opinion about things, you can still be kind. And it's a lot less exhausting than having to switch on and off a mask. It is exhausting to be one person in one room and another person in another. However, the other side of that, the kind side of that, is kindness allows you to adapt to different people. You're not putting on a mask, you're not changing who you are, but you're adapting for the people that you are speaking with. Because as you know, when you do an interview, you can't approach everybody the same way. And I think it's been a huge benefit to work in broadcasting because it's taught me so many lessons for life that I've learned in media, where I've adapted when I'm sitting next to a different co-anchor. At my job as in local news, I anchored with so many personalities, men, women, veterans, newbies. I was often the newbie in the beginning, but then as I grew in my stature or time in the business, then I was the one who was more veteran. So it was just like, for me, it's just a kindness to be able to be adaptable and flexible. It's one of the soft skills. I guess now we're not using the term soft skills. We're using essential skills.
Yeah.
Essential skills. And so I think that we need to know that we're not faking it when we're flexible, but we do not have to wear a mask. And it's not hard when you are kind. When you're kind, it comes easy to be yourself.
When did they switch soft skills to essential skills? I didn't get the
memo.
memo.
I was corrected once recently, and I said, I'm just going to keep on going with essential then.
Oh, so that's the new, okay, because I totally still use soft skills. Thank you. Now I know.
Essential skills, essential workers. Skills. We love it all. Yeah.
But I can see how soft skills would be essential. I can kind of see what I see it. I get it. Okay. What I think is really important to highlight, what is the difference between nice and kind? Because you said there was a difference and I was like, come on now, semantics. No, not quite. Tell me more.
Not quite. No. Well, if you look it up in the modern dictionary, they'll describe nice as kind. That's one of the many definitions. But if you research the words back a bit, like I like to take the word back and find out the root words. Nice, and it still holds some of this today. Nice is exactness, precision, politeness. I don't say that nice is a negative. I say you need to graduate from nice to kind, because a lot of people think that kind and nice are the same, and they're absolutely not. Kind cannot bring you to the connection that we all desire, that authentic, real engagement where we're living present. Kind is more aware of the people around them. So if you are a kind person, you'll notice somebody on the Zoom call who looks a bit despondent or down, and you'll reach out and say, hey, is there anything? You'll follow warm impulses and not just think it's a coincidence that somebody's face popped in to your mind out of nowhere. You'll actually respond, and your conscience, that muscle memory for kindness, will be developed. Nice is just doing what you are expected to do. Hi, how are you? Okay, have a good day. Bye. You know, it's very cordial, but it's one author or one woman who podcast interviewed me said, nice is the gateway drug to kind. So I'm accepting that. I like that. But please don't stay at nice, because we can graduate and kindness is more fun.
Again, we lost the doorbell, but we still got the snacks.
Right.
What happened to the salmon? What happened to the stand-up?
It's downstairs. It'll come. I'm ignoring the doorbell. Dinner can be reheated. You and me, we're hot right now. Let's do it. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so there was another time. I think this was your first. I think you said it was your first national TV appearance. You were on The Talk.
Yes.
And you had a situation with a hairdresser. Now, we don't play about our hair now, and we move around and you got to get someone new. I call it upside my head. And it's like, So in the book, you talk about how it didn't come out the way you want. Girl, can I tell you, I struggle with that. Talk to us a little bit about the struggle and how you overcame it. Because I was like, oh my gosh, you feel me right now.
Well, it's so funny. And I hope that men understand this too, because the fact is for all the men who are on this particular video event, you've been to a new barber and they don't quite line you up the way you thought, or, it just doesn't come out the way you're used to because your usual person isn't there. And when you are going to these shows, it's the first time they've seen you. And so it's like, how do you appropriately address it? Well, I was a rookie. Okay. This was my first national TV appearance, even though I was an anchor in Dallas. And I shouldn't have stressed out about my hair. I should have just let it go. But what I did was stress out so much about it that it was like kind of like ticking off the hairdresser. And the person who walked in the room who loved me was like, would you please just let it go? You look beautiful. They did a great job. Because it's almost like an audition, even though I wasn't auditioning for The Talk. It was just like, this is practice for what life is going to be like. So pick your battles. Pick your battles. And the fact is I looked great. Like, it's fine. Again, like it was that one curl on that one side that I could still point out to you
right here.
Yours look great, but it was that one. I could still not like the pictures because of that. But I wasn't going to make it. It wasn't going to make it. What is that statement? The mountain I was going to die on, or whatever that statement.
Yeah, that's not the hill you want to die on. No,
because I had the hill. Yeah, because I had the opportunity to be on The Talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had the opportunity to represent Texas at the time because I was working in Dallas, and it was just a great opportunity that was a joy. And later, fast forward, I actually talk about how with my hairdressers and makeup artists living in New York, now I'm established. Now I know who I am. And I still would not speak up about my hair and makeup because of what I had happened before. What I've learned is that as you grow, you have to be kind to yourself and realize how far you've come and not live in the past. Kindness actually will keep you engaged and present with where you are now. And like, look in the mirror and say, you've come a long way, baby.
Yeah. Say it again. You come a long way, baby. I'm snapping on that one too.
Way, baby.
I'm gonna start snapping. I snap in church now, my home church. I mean, just in my living room, snap. Like, preach, man. Okay, so you mentioned, is it Krause?
Bill Krause.
Bill Krause. So he's a business coach. Is he in Sacramento?
Yes.
Saxtown made the book. Of course he did. He has a quote in here that says, amateurs compete against others. Professionals compete against themselves. Realize there is nobody else in your class. How can you compete when no one else exists to compete with? TV is competitive. How did you manage to get there?
Well, first of all, I love that quote. When he gave me that quote, it just really helped me. I thought it was a very vivid picture because really there's only one you. And the coolest thing is that one of the reasons why I wrote the book, yes, he told me, you need to write a book on kindness. But one of the reasons that I wanted to write the book and answer people's questions is I think a lot of people don't know why they're special.
Yeah.
We hear everyone's special. And then it's like, well, then how come everybody gets this opportunity? Well, how come I didn't get this and they got that? You can compare yourself to everybody and feel so short. And I don't mean short in stature. I mean, like you're missing out, like you're lacking. That's the right word. You're lacking. What I realized is that kindness is like your fingerprint, where it's an indelible imprint that you leave on people no one else can duplicate. And when you realize that no one else, there is never going to be another Keristen Holmes for the rest of all time, for eternity, you're unduplicatable, undeniably unique, then there is no one else in your class. It really is the only way that I found, and nobody else has been able to give me another one, where if you are kind, your kind is one of a kind. Yeah. And that's what keeps you from competing with other people. You'll leave a mark on this world that is, it is impossible for anybody else to do the same.
I love that. I think just the further I go in my career, I think we are learning that. It's like girls in news. It's like, hey, I think we're better together. Let's stay in our lane and ride this puppy out. And it's way less drama. Like, let's stay in our lane and not compete with each other. Compete with yourself. Also, I think there was something else you said. Oh, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
I loved it. Okay, so
well, it really, just real quick, I don't want to run out of time with this, but the thing is that, and you probably hear the sirens outside my house now. I don't know what you guys can hear because I'm in New York and it sounds like New York a little bit. So no, with comparison, the truth of the matter is that when you're kind, you actually give yourself permission to come up with new ways to do the same thing. I say, there was a quote in the book, it's kindness doesn't break the rules, it expands the imagination. Yes. And for me, I've had to create a different path in broadcasting. I couldn't compare myself. I couldn't be a cookie cutter because my life didn't happen that way. It didn't go on the track that I thought it would. I looked up to people like Diane Sawyer, who I, thank goodness, been honored to meet and talk with and learn from in a one-on-one way. But my path was completely different than hers. And so it was like, how am I going to own my space? By being kind, I realized we really are all in a class of our own. And that's exciting because we're all facets of this great diamond in our own way, contributing to the light that's refracted to give this world more answers.
Girl, where did you come from? How did you get all this knowledge? I'm like, that is deep. Oh my goodness. Let me write that down.
You are so funny.
Wait a minute.
I don't even know what I said.
I'm feeling that. Girl, we are all facets of a diamond. Y'all write that down. Okay, so I got to the part. Now, A Star is Born.
Yes.
So not only did you interview Lady Gaga and Sam Elliott and I think his name is Anthony
Ramos and Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
No. Let's do it again. Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
First of all,
now I know you like Bradley Cooper.
I mean, just a little bit. I'm a fan. Like, did I not turn the air on?
Are you a little hot, girl? Are you a little? Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait.
It is 100 degrees in Sacramento. It is 100 degrees in Sacramento, but we did just mention Bradley Cooper. What I loved about that so much was in that interview, I don't want to give away the whole book because I want people to read that. But there's a story in there. You, as an interviewer, sometimes we do these stories and sometimes it's emotional.
Yeah.
You had the whole room cry. Well, you made the whole room comfortable enough to cry. That is a talent. Everybody, y'all know Marcus Allen. You know Marcus Allen. He interviews celebrities all the time.
Yeah.
That is a rarity to get that much emotion out of people who do millions of interviews. Yeah. Like, how? What happened? What can you tell us? Because that is a beautiful moment in the book. So tell us what you can about it.
Well, and I encourage everybody to find the interview because I just watched it again after, it's been like a couple years, and me watching it again, I was like, God, this is so beautiful, this conversation. I wish I had the entire 30 minutes. But what happened is I flew into Canada. We were at the Toronto Film Festival. And this is why that interview was such a success, because we did connect. And we did have that emotional connection or response, that openness, that authenticity that had everybody in the room in tears. I usually do not use any note cards at all for interviews. So if I'm going to do an interview, I have nothing, no notes. You got your notes on your phone. I have no notes. I have no blue cards. It's a conversation.
Yep.
And so that requires me to memorize a lot. So I'm getting my head in the game, I'm getting all my notes down. I'm running over them again and again and again. And it's almost time for the interview to start. And my producer calls me over and says, Adrienne, I want you to meet Anthony. And now I could have been like, oh, hi, how are you? I look forward to meeting you in just a few moments when all of the rest of the people come in, because Lady Gaga wasn't there, Sam Elliott wasn't there, Bradley Cooper wasn't there. But because I was kind enough to stop and listen to my producer says to Anthony, oh, tell Adrienne the story of your teacher, your high school drama teacher. And he told me the entire story. It was a beautiful story. I talk about it in the book. because I was kind enough to not say, oh, nice to meet you, I'm going to be back in here in this corner going over my notes. So concerned that I would get everything down. So concerned that I'd memorize everything. You know, some people might have thought, oh, well, you know, Anthony Ramos, yeah, he did Hamilton, but until Lady Gaga comes in, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to research and I'm going to get my head right. I listened to my producer. My producer was kind enough to give me that inside story that I did not find on Google.
Ooh.
So when we sat down and I brought it up, I had no idea. I'm not in the business of making people cry, but I am in the business of making people feel safe. And I always say that when I'm doing an interview, I want you to feel so safe that you can be authentically you. And that's the only way that could have happened. And I brought it up and Anthony started crying, telling the story. And it was one of the most powerful interviews I've ever done. And I'm so honored because it was real and I respected that space. I always look at interviews as a chance of me interviewing a genius. When you tell somebody without a word, when you send out that transmission that you respect them and honor them and that you think they're a genius, because I truly do, then they feel that respect and they feel safer.
Takes notes. That's how you make Bradley Cooper with the beautiful eyes cry. Okay.
Well.
Okay, so I like this.
To say the least. Okay.
All right, moving on. Cooled off. All right, so you have a chapter called Yes, New Friends. Now, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I know exactly what this is going to be about. Thank you for throwing the curveball.
Oh, good.
I think
what did you think it was going to be about? Wait a minute.
I was like, be open to making new friends. Like, I thought that was it. But I remember there were examples of you chasing down people to thank them.
Yeah. Chasing down strangers. I've done it many times. Excuse
me.
Not
just to get the interview.
No interview. Thank you for being nice. That was kind. Or thank you for opening the door for that guy. Thank you for doing that.
I consider myself a nice or a kind person. Now that I know the difference, I mean, we're going to be kind. Thank you, boo. Thank you. I never thought to do that. I've always appreciated people doing kind things in front of me. I never stopped to maybe I should thank them because I saw that act of kindness. Talk to me a little bit about how their response and how important that is to do. And how that may have left that person feeling. Of course, it made them feel good, but
yeah. Well, what I do is when I witness an act of kindness from a stranger, I think, you know what? I wonder if anybody thanked them for that today, because I don't want them to ever be discouraged or think that it doesn't matter that they were kind. And so I will literally chase people down if I see somebody doing something kind, and it's something I encourage others to do in public life. This is how you make fast friends. You're friendly to those you see conducting kindness because you want more of those heroes in the world. And how will we ever propagate kindness? How will we ever get a mass army of kind people in the world if we don't all recognize each other and say, hey, I'm part of your tribe, I'm kind too. And thank you for being kind, because then they'll keep doing it. Because people who are kind can get hurt. They can think that it doesn't matter, it doesn't count, nobody notices, they haven't made a mark on the world. And I want to make kindness famous. So I chase people down.
Y'all, she chased people down, cabs. Like, you be safe out there, Adrienne. New York is dangerous.
I look both ways before I cross the street. Don't worry. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so now let's get to that social media tips for relationships.
Yeah.
Why was that important to include?
Well, here's the deal. Social media has too much been treated as an alternative universe, right? We will do things on pardon me if I messed my mic up. We will do things on social media that we would never do to somebody's face. And it's like this fourth wall dimension that we think we can be emboldened to talk to people in a way that we would never. Our mamas didn't teach us to talk like that to strangers.
Wow.
And so I'm just like, so for me, it's very simple. Number one, you want to treat your social media interactions like a handshake, like somebody you meet in the elevator. It's your first impression, because it's not virtual reality. It's literal reality. It's as real as the person sitting next to you now, because this is the interaction we have, this technology. And who knows how small this world is? Who knows if somebody will go back into your feed and will judge everything you tweeted or Instagram posted or whatever. And I want to say, listen, let's watch each other's back. Treating it like a first impression will make you think twice before posting it. And then second of all, I want people to actually use it as the tool that it was meant to be used for, which is connection. So treat it as though it's the first layer of getting to know somebody. First, start with maybe a post or a DM, then move to email, then move to phone. Make it a progressive relationship. I don't give my phone number out right away to people that I meet on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, but I don't want to rule them out as somebody that I could definitely have as a friend or a connection in some other way in the future, but allow the relationship to blossom using social media as a tool. Just use wisdom. And here's my one tip. Don't DM anything you wouldn't want on the front page of the Washington Post, because DMs are just as public posts. It's a screenshot.
Screenshots exist. I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at you when I say that. Whoever you is, whoever feels convicted in this moment, screenshots exist.
Screenshots exist. They're real. It's not virtual reality, more people. It's real. That's kindness to yourself and the world.
Please. And screenshots exist. Just in case you feel like maybe I won't be shared.
Yeah. I'm looking out for you.
All right, real quick. I have one more question. I love this. It says this was chapter 10, resilience in a crazy world, because it's really hard. Sometimes it's really hard to be kind. The emotional storm I was in continued to rage. However, kindness tied me to the mast of my ship and prevented me from going overboard. What can you share about that in the 2 minutes we have left? I will get all the time in.
Well, a lot of people think of kindness as just something that lifts somebody's spirits, right? Or is optimistic or hopeful in terms of the action. But what I've learned is, and Cedars-Sinai did a study on this as well as Harvard, that it's consistent acts of kindness that actually give you the same thing as a runner's high. It lifts you from a chemical way on the inside, hormonally. You feel better. You have this euphoria when you are kind on a consistent basis. It's like this happy drug that can pass through your veins all the time. When you do something randomly, you're not going to get the same benefit. So if you're running on a treadmill randomly, you're not going to get the same benefit as if you're intentional about working out. I want people to use kindness consistently, because it is in times of great pressure and intensity, emotional times of loss of a loved one, times of career change, all of the above, financial pressure, are things that people are going through right now. And when I was going through my own personal crisis, it was that consistent kindness, my weekly mentoring calls, the times that I was giving to charity every week or every month. That's what kept me anchored to the mast of my ship and prevented me from going overboard, as you so eloquently read out of my book. And so for me, it was like, I can't quit. I got to keep giving to these people I mentor. I can't quit. I got to keep giving to this charity. I've committed to it. And so for me, kindness is so powerful. It's GPS for you to keep you steady and then position you for the next door that you walk through.
just reading, I think people, the people who are watching, you guys know we work in news, and any industry ain't always nice. I've worked in banking. I was a teller in college, and then I worked for Blue Cross and Blue Shield as just like a pencil pusher, but it was more like a type one of these. This is what I did in my cubicle. One of those. Okay. What was it that my 10 key was strong, or 9 key, whatever it is. I had strong 9 key. Sometimes working in those industries will present situations where it can be really frustrating, where it can be really stressful. And then I came in the news where it was news.
And you knew it was more stressful.
I'm glad. I was glad to break up the monotony of my day, because every day was the same. And thank you, Blue Cross and Blue Shield and Bank of America.
They gave you a great foundation.
They did.
I've banked with Bank of America since I was 16 years old.
Right? Yeah, me too. Yeah. What's funny is remember when they had the pictures? I still got my college picture on my debit card. I am not even that person anymore.
We need to update. But
I know I'll be that person again.
But I know that's not what you're talking about, right? You're not talking about your picture. You're getting excited.
No, I'm talking about how can you make sure that you're using kindness every single day in such a very, very stressful world, especially in news?
Well, first of all, I would say that every industry has its stress. So I would say that there are lots of banking employees who would probably say, wait a minute, let me tell you, let me get my 5 minutes up here on the mic. It's so stressful. It's just as stressful as your job. And people in sales or pharmaceutical, the medical community, oh my goodness, the amount of pressure. So every industry has its pressures, okay?
Yeah.
It's all relative. And we're all going through our own pain where we're being squeezed in different ways. But no pain, no gain.
Right.
It's good to have happy triggers that you can actually implement in a split second when you're under pressure and under the gun, so that you will respond with that knee-jerk response of compassion. And here's a couple of things that I've done. One approach is the Mother Teresa. And that's when you are listening to somebody, even if that person is raising their voice, I want you to treat them like they're the most important person in the room. I want you to treat them like they're a genius, because we've all watched. Well, I'll give you approach number 2. Approach number 2 is act like somebody died. This person is stressing out, challenging, difficult. I want you to look at them and think somebody must have died. Because as soon as you think that they say their mother died the night before, say their father died the night before, say they're going through the loss of a pet, you know what that's a feeling like. And so for you, your compassion will rise like, you know what, they're getting on my last nerve, but I understand because they had some loss in their family. So use the power of your imagination in that split second. Somebody must have died. Somebody must have died. Somebody must have died. It'll keep you from reacting in an angry or volatile way. Number 3 approach. A lot of life coaches will tell you to live like it's your last day. I want you to live like it's their last day. Pretend, use your imagination. This is the last day they have on earth. You are one of the last conversations they will ever have. As they're talking at you, maybe not talking to you because they're upset, because things are pressured, I want you to think, tomorrow they are passing away. There will be family and loved ones around their deathbed. When you use your power of imagination, the trigger of deathbed, it will allow compassion to rise up on the inside of you, where you will be slow to speak in an angry way. Because the truth is, we have to use our imaginations. Our human brains are so quick. They're firing. Our brains are firing so fast. And if you can put a picture in your head ahead of the situation to remember that, that will trigger compassion in you, so that you will not enter into that same contentious environment with them. Instead, you will remain calm in the storm. And that's what we need right now. The world is demanding of us to be kind under pressure. It doesn't care how many things you have coming at you. It doesn't care that you lost your job. The world doesn't care that you have family members who had coronavirus. They are saying to you, you better be kind under pressure. You better say the right thing. You better react correctly. Otherwise, it's going to end up on the front page of the whatever. And so I want you to be able to handle that pressure with kindness. And what you're going to have to do is create your own triggers that will incentivize you to respond with compassion. And those are a few that helped me.
Y'all, let's all, like, I don't know how we get everybody to tap happy faces or something. That was major, like major key alert. Let's say that was major. I appreciate you sharing that, because I'm like, that was really valuable advice. Thank you so much, Adrienne. They gave us an extra 5 minutes. Wait, they said this was getting too good.
This was the extra 5. Yes, 5:45. We now have to time out. We have to tap out.
Well, we have a few questions.
Oh, good.
From our audience, so we want to make sure that we have time for them, and they're awesome questions as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Keristen.
So I am going to start with, oh man, so many good questions, but.
Can I see the questions, or are you just going to ask them?
I'm just going to ask the questions.
Okay, I'm going to hope to have this mental picture. Okay, just like. Okay.
I'm going to start with the one I think is really, I think we all want to know this.
Okay,
right?
Shout out to all the 231 people on this.
You know what? Which is like 40 people more than registered. So awesome. Yay for you in Sacramento.
Yay for everybody in Sacramento, yeah.
And everywhere you are.
That's right.
This question comes from, I hope I'm saying it right, Lessa. Do you believe that with practice, kindness can become an innate personality trait? Or do you think it's a form of manners like politeness?
It's definitely not manners. I think it actually supersedes personality. I think that when you have an ability to do who you are, it's more than personality. It supersedes strength and tenacity and intelligence, because somebody can have a high IQ but be unkind. Somebody can be amazingly talented on a football field, but be unkind and build a reputation that actually sours their career. And so for me, I think that it can become innate, and I think it's already in you. All I'm asking you to do, again, I mentioned my mentor quite a bit in the book, but I'll mention him again here. Something that I love that he does is he's like, you have everything on the inside of you already that you need. I'm just here to help bring it out. So you already have the innate kindness in you that you need that supersedes anything else that you have. It's more powerful than your strength or your personality. It becomes your identity. It's your essence. That is your superpower.
That is a great answer. All right, here's a tough one.
Okay, bring it on.
This is from Chris.
Okay.
What skills can one use to be kind when dealing with being bullied?
What skills can people use to be kind when dealing with being bullied? Is this an adult being bullied or a child? Did they say?
It didn't say. Do you want to answer it both ways?
Sure. So to me, I think, first of all, with children, they are in an environment where they have somebody that would immediately be somebody they would report to. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a child who's being bullied, you want them to talk to their teacher. You want them to talk to the principal. You want them to report it to the office, rather than fighting it out on the playground and then figuring it out later and picking up the pieces. You'd want to involve the parents. But when you have adults who feel that they're being bullied, there's two things. One is I've had to be so firm in my identity and who I am that nothing anybody said would affect me. I had to become impenetrable. And here's how I have proof of that. When I am on broadcast television and I am live in front of a camera and I have David Muir on the other side or Michael Strahan, Robin, and George on the other side, nobody is going to force me to be in a situation where my life is in danger. But there might be people around me, people who want to say things, try to get on camera, interrupt the live shot. And it's my responsibility to respond in a kind way and not a defensive way. Now, we've all seen the bloopers of reporters responding different ways, but in a perfect world scenario, I'm going to stand firm, I'm going to stay composed, and I'm going to do my job to the best of my ability, of course, barring anybody harming my life or trying to harm my life. I think that it's really important that we really work on our identity, because then somebody's words, that sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me or something. Words do hurt. But knowing who you are is such a resilient quality that a lot of people, a lot of adults don't have. So for me, the skill of honing who you are is much more important first step in confronting bullying, because you need to stand on your own 2 feet and not allow any pressure, whether it's bullying or peer pressure, to impact your decision making, because you want to stick to your values and your character. And that's what I'd want for a child as well. On the other hand, if you're in a job environment and somebody is saying things to you that are harsh, you have to determine, number one, to have a thicker skin, like I talked about earlier. But number two, do you need to report that to a manager? Do you need to involve somebody who can possibly address that? But again, my biggest thing from the book is that kindness is about who you are. Read chapter 2, and I think that you're going to find that you're going to have a lot of insight.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you. Okay, Serene wants to know, how does kindness work in an arena of overt racism?
I think that, again, that you need to remember who you are. You need to know who you are. I cannot stop people from treating me a certain way or thinking a certain way about me. Now, obviously, there are things that need to change. There are things that are changing as we speak. But at the end of the day, I like to focus on what is something that we're all asking for. We're all asking for kindness. There are people who are united in kindness. Kindness is inclusive. Kindness doesn't discriminate. And so the fact of the matter is, in identifying those traits in yourself, you are going to better be able to be clear-headed to address the problems that you're facing. The key is to not think of kindness as a Band-Aid for big problems. The key is for it to keep you steady as the ship is rocking and as the waters are raging and the storm is raging all around you. I really do believe that if you keep your head in the game, you'll be able to confront any problem.
That's another great answer. All right, here's one that sort of I love this question too. I love all the questions tonight. Great questions, guys, out there in Cyberland. Marne wants to know, do you ever get down on yourself when it seems no one appreciates you or your kindness? And how do you cope?
I think I've definitely felt that before. But again, I mean, I keep on going back to identity. I really think that many of us, in an identity crisis. And that is because no matter what is going on the outside, I have to decide who I will be. If I change because of circumstances, in speaking about the last question, Maya Angelou said, hatred never solved any problems. And so I'm not going to allow somebody else's hatred. I'm not going to allow someone's lack of appreciation. I'm not going to allow somebody's divisiveness to cause me to change into somebody that I don't like. I get to choose to be who I am. No one else can define that for me. Society can't define that for me. And I'm not the first person to say that. But once we are really assured of our identity, I believe that kindness anchors our soul, anchors our mind, anchors our emotions so that we can withstand challenges. But I'm not going to change because somebody decided not to appreciate my kindness. I'm going to keep being who I am, irregardless of what they're being. I got a little sass on that one.
I like that.
Me too.
You hear me?
Right. Keristen wants to know, enjoyed the book a lot. How did you decide to write this book about kindness and maybe not another equally important or meaningful emotional practice? Not saying kindness isn't important.
So the question is, why did I decide to write on kindness versus empathy? Or, here's the deal. We've already defined kindness versus niceness. We've already defined the fact that you have a knee-jerk response to compassion with kindness. I think that kindness is like the nucleus of the cell. That's really my heart. If you will see it as the jump off to the other positive attributes, to me, kindness has kept me strong. Kindness has kept me sane. Kindness has made me more empathetic. It's a foundation layer for all the other strengths. Something that I write about in the book, and I have to remember exactly, but so don't quote me, but it's one of my quotes, is that kindness, it actually highlights the talents and the gifts you already have. Mm-hmm. So if you're an exceptional musician, when you're kind, you're great. If you're a doctor or a nurse, but you're kind, you're great. It takes you from good to great. You can be multi-talented. You can have wonderful personality. Somebody asked about personality earlier. But if you're kind, we actually elevate you in society. We've done this for eons. I'm not the first. It shines a spotlight on others without diminishing your own brightness.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
I wrote that. It's in the book.
All right. Jim wants to know, do you remember a time when being kind backfired on you?
No, because the thing is, nice can backfire. Genuine kindness cannot backfire. Do you understand me? Mm-hmm. Kindness is deeper than an action step. It is literally in your chromosomes. So I can't fail. That's why the title of the book is Unbeatable. The subtitle rather, it's Your Hidden Superpower, the kindness that makes you unbeatable. I put at work, but it works everywhere and connects you with anyone. I'm unstoppable when I'm indelibly me. I liken it to this. When you have a cell phone, let me see, where's my cell phone right now? My cell phone's in the yellow. You can't see it, but it's in the yellow zone because I have it on low battery because I don't want to recharge it right now. But when it gets to the red, it's 20%. Many of us are walking around in life at 20% battery. Mm-hmm. We need a recharge. We're depleted. And what do you do when your cell phone's depleted? You reserve the use of that tool that you could use to call people, that you could use to surf the internet, that you could use to do Instagram. You're like, I only got 20% and I can't charge my phone. I'm not texting anybody unless it's an emergency. I'm not making any phone calls unless I really need help. I'm not going to use social media because I don't want to drain my battery. So what do we do if we're walking around with 20% saying we're being real? You're giving the world a sliver of who you really are, but you're not giving them that unique you. Kindness recharges your battery so you can be 100% charged, 100% authentic. It's the only way you're going to leave your unique footprint in the world. But what we're doing is we're giving people counterfeit versions of us and saying we're being real. and then wondering why we're not hitting the mark and hitting the goals that we say we want to get to. But it's because we're not really fully present. We're leaving so much on the table. Kindness charges your battery.
Beautiful. All right. Katie wants to know, how are you kind to yourself, and what are some of your self-care practices?
Okay, how many do you want?
We can extend the time. Give it to us.
One is breathing, meditative breathing. So at one point in my life, my friend told me, Adrienne, just take a breath, because I was stressed out. I'm thinking, take a breath. What do you mean just take a breath? It was so flippant. But what I've realized is if I despise the breath, then I'm going to despise or be less grateful for the opportunity or the thing that I can do and accomplish because of the power of that breath. Recognizing that power of life that's flowing in me, breathing in through my nose, out through my mouth, really does give me a chance to be still, be quiet, recharges me, allows me to gain perspective, clears my head just with 3 good cleansing deep breaths. I love it. It actually helps me. I love chiropractic care, massages, facials, spa days, mani-pedis, give me it all. Like all of those things that help me to relax. It's what I need to relax. Other people have different things. They'd like to play golf. I do like golf. It doesn't relax me quite as much as a facial at the Four Seasons. So whatever it is that I can do, whatever it is that I can do to do that, what I call self-care is community care. Because if I don't take care of myself, I'm going to take it out on you and be cranky. So what I say is kindness to self is really kindness to the whole tribe of people that I interact with. That's why I don't feel any shame in investing in myself and being empathetic with myself and stopping down and having a spa day. Right now, based on isolation, it's been a little rough, but taking a walk, clearing my head, walking is one of the kindest gifts I give myself so I can breathe and enjoy fresh air and say good morning through my face mask to my neighbors.
I wrote that down too. Kindness to myself is kindness to my community.
It's true.
I like that. I like that so much. All right. There is one more question.
Okay, one more.
Well, and then a couple of comments.
Okay.
I'll share those too. But Lessa, who asked our first question, wants to know if kindness is a spiritual quality.
Is kindness a spiritual quality? It's so interesting because to me, it's the one thing that we can all agree on. So I would call it a universal quality. I mean, you could make it spiritual, but people of all faiths actually speak to a kindness practice. And that's why I also think it's the most powerful thing we can do right now. It doesn't matter what side of the fence or the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter what your economic status is. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. It doesn't matter what your gender is. All of those pieces of the puzzle, it's not that they become muted, they become highlighted when we are kind to one another. And we bring that to the table in unity. And so it's the one thing everyone's asking for, kindness. And it opens the door and connects us in a powerful way like nothing else I've ever seen. And so if you call that spiritual, then amen, sister. I just know that every faith, every religion, every people who are atheists want kindness, so it's like, everybody is included. It's the most inclusive thing we can do right now is be kind to one another.
I think we need to put that on billboards everywhere, social media banners everywhere.
Which part?
All of it.
All of it.
I just feel so happy. Thank you.
See, it's powerful. I'm telling you.
You made it, and you did this for more than 200 people here in Sacramento. So Angelina just wrote, Adrienne, I'm so happy for you. I was interning at KCRA when you were a reporter in Sacramento. So shout out.
Thank you, Angelina.
Who knew you. And my heart is so full, and I am so grateful that you were willing to make the time and let your dinner get cold to talk to us here in Sacramento. And Keristen, we have to give you a great big round of applause.
So much fun.
You are you, and you just bring this beautiful light to Sacramento by your presence. True. And the two of you were incredible together. So thank you. And I'm so proud of Sacramento Public Library. I'm proud of myself for—
You should be, girl.
For not giving up and sending you videos, emails, and begging your publisher to make this visit to Sacramento Public Library, which we will be able to share asynchronously because this is being recorded so people can listen to it at another time. I believe there's a podcast too. There are so many talented people here at Sacramento Public Library that they do things I don't even remember. So it's fabulous. So, and I want to encourage everybody who's listening, hey, it's summer. Join summer reading. Read books. You can be part of the library, even if we can't quite be together physically. We're going to keep figuring out more events like this. We have more author visits in July and August and September. And those are available. The information is on our website. So read these books, buy Adrienne's books so that HarperCollins is happy and they send us more authors. And besides, it's Adrienne, so she's fabulous. So we need to support her by buying her book. And HarperCollins very nicely sent signed book plates. So you actually get a signed copy, even though you can't be here in person, to have her sign your book. So those are things. Don't forget Face in a Book. That's where you can get a signed copy of the book shipped to you. It's very easy. I did it. And I know that you can make that happen. Use the library. Be kind to one another. Use all of the things that Adrienne shared with us tonight. And again, Keristen, you were perfect as our moderator. The two of you are awesome. You need a road show. I will vote for both of you for any office you choose to hold. And again, everyone in the audience, thank you so much. And yes, there's information about summer reading should be available on our website, so don't forget that. The link to Face in a Book is there, and we want you all to enjoy your dinner, Adrienne. And Keristen, it's bedtime for you because you got to be up and out.
Oh
my gosh.
We gotta eat.
Dinner time.
It's okay. It's late. It's almost 9 o'clock, but I'm very grateful. And thank you to Sacramento Public Library. Thank you, Rivkah, for being such a gracious host and the kindness that you've shown and your commitment to being a librarian for all these years. It's amazing. Well, it's such a beautiful thing to see somebody who's doing what they love. You don't do something for 40 years when you don't love it. And that passion shines through. So may we all live with as much passion as Rivkah and as much dedication. And Keristen, thank you. You were great. It was so much fun.
Oh,
thank you.
And thanks to the 232 people. The numbers just keep getting bigger. Thank you, everybody. And there is Bankert. If you use the word Bankert, you can earn your summer reading badge for this event at saclibrary.org. So see, you're now.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
For the kids, I just encourage you parents, and even if I have a lot of kids in my life, but any kid that you have the chance to influence, make sure to involve them in acts of kindness. A lot of kids are not seeing their friends as much. They are virtual with their teachers. And the fact is that they can do acts of kindness and engineer acts of kindness from the comfort of their living room or their bedroom and their sofa. And I mean, you could Venmo somebody $10 and say, hey, I want to buy my teacher Starbucks or coffee, Pete's Coffee, a local Temple Coffee. There's so many local coffee shops in downtown Sacramento. But involve your children in kindness engineering. Involve your companies in kindness infrastructure. Pay attention to who your kids' hearts are going towards in terms of compassion and who their hearts are breaking for. Help them to be part of a solution. Show them that it does matter and that their kindness can actually move to action in a sweet, age-appropriate way. And so that was just my last 2 cents.
And I think, folks, we're going to end with that. Again, Adrienne, thank you for giving so generously of your time to Sacramento. Keristen, you're a star. And everybody out there, thank you for using Sacramento Public Library. Don't forget, we're here for you, curbside, virtually, and pretty soon in person. So you two have great evenings, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Until next time.
Until next time.